Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Libra. If Libra is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, knock, knock, knock. And let's see what we have here. Hope you all are doing well. We're finally feeling pretty good over here. Just getting over COVID and hopefully going to be out of quarantine in the next couple days. And so I couldn't be any happier. All right, I'm gonna drain some of this off here. All right. Okay. So let's see. We have a pretty circle. We have a nice little heart. We have some looks like maybe a horse. Okay. All right, let's get started. Let's see what we have here. So, we're going to start with the heart. Now, this is little. It also, unfortunately, looks like it has a sword kind of going through the top of it. I feel that this is maybe related to an old event. Something that has passed, but still it stays with you. Okay. And I'm seeing in this right here, this is very, to me, very much, a symbol of kind of a cyclic, maybe a reaction, coping mechanism, or maybe kind of the same, similar situations arising, okay? And I think that it's been in 3 major parts, okay? And I believe that this is something that has really kind of been a really foundational belief for you. It has definitely affected your perception of relationships, how you interact with other people, your ability to trust people. And I just, overall, I think the general kind of, I feel that you have a hard time being at ease with others in social situations, in relationships, platonic and otherwise, just generally human interactions and relationships, okay? And I think it has to do with things that went on when you were young, okay? And because there is the heart with this knife in it, or sword, I believe that this is something. I get the instinct sensation, kind of just in my. I'm visualizing that. I'm trying to figure out how to say this in a way that, isn't too hurtful or, triggering. But I think that probably there was some amount of infidelity with your caregivers or parents. And I think that it maybe wasn't infidelity in the sense that either was stepping out on the actual relationship, but I think that there was not a deep drive to kind of heal the relationship, and there was a lot of arguing, just a general sense of chaos in the home, resentment, just kind of sniping one another. And I feel like it was like a lot of lies. There were a lot of lies and hidden things going on. And as you got older and more aware of the things going on around you, I think that you had to kind of carry the burden of knowing about things that were happening, and also feeling like you were keeping secrets from maybe your like other parent. You knew that one of your parents was doing something and hiding it. And, I think that happens a lot as children, is that, the adults around you they don't necessarily believe or even consider that you might be picking up on their behaviors, their actions, whatever they're sneaking around doing. They don't hide it well enough. And what happens is, you end up finding out things and having to feel like you have to protect that secret. Oh, and at the same time feel very guilty for keeping the secret from the other parent. Okay? And, I understand that feeling a lot. I grew up in a house where there was addiction. So there was a lot of things being hidden. And so, okay, I had to go and get a little drink. I thought I was pretty okay and wasn't going to be coughing. And I did. I didn't get myself a drink like I should have. Okay, so I believe that this burden that you had to carry as a child really has affected, fundamentally, how you trust people. And just, I think really just knowing from a young age that people will say one thing and do another, or the people who are supposed to be kind of, the role models of how relationships are supposed to work, how we are supposed to honor each other, speak to each other, the way that we treat each other, just generally the, consideration and care that we have for one another, especially spouses, partners, family members. When that's already so strained, I think that really makes it hard to trust people going forward, probably throughout your life, right? I know it has for me. Now, I don't think that this is the only time that this kind of situation has happened. I do believe that you had either a marriage or a pretty involved relationship, maybe a long-term relationship, somebody you lived with. And I think that at some point in this relationship, you found out some things about the person that they were probably maybe lying to you. They had maybe misrepresented themselves. They, and I get the sense that this is, and I don't want to be, vulgar, but I'm looking at, and as I'm seeing this, I'm looking at this figure here, and I see it's kind of a seated figure, but it's very phallic, okay? And And here, the hands kind of holding together. I feel that this is part of, it's a symbol of the continued cycle, okay? It's stuck in this loop, okay? And feeding into these same kind of, you know, as human beings, we like to categorize things. We like to find similarities in everything that we experience so that we can understand them, right? That makes sense. So when somebody has similar behaviors to somebody that was like a fundamental person in your childhood, it's not that difficult to believe that you would kind of loop that person into that same archetype, right? The same mother-father archetype. So because of the phallic nature of this, and this doesn't mean that it has to be a biological male or man or masculine person. For this purpose, we'll look at this as a fertility, kind of a fertility symbol, but a sexual symbol, right? So I think that there must have been, again, the infidelity, the lying, the infidelity, but also I get the impression that this is almost like that you discovered that they had some kind of maybe love addiction, maybe sex addiction, maybe an addiction to viewing materials, related imagery, right? Or videos or whatever. And I feel like this was such a huge betrayal. I mean, this was like catastrophic for you. It brought up all of those feelings from the past. I mean, I think that it was already hard for you to trust somebody enough to get into a relationship with them. And they knew this, right? You were very clear, very open, very vulnerable about your experiences with your, fears and anxieties about going forward with a very involved romantic relationship, a domestic relationship, trusting that somebody will honor you and be true to you, faithful, all of these things, right? It's already hard in the most, pristine circumstances to align yourself so closely to another being. But when you have all these other factors, I mean, it makes it almost impossible, I would say. I understand that from my heart, like my core of my being. I get it. So then when somebody knows all of this, they understand all of this, but they still can't just be honest with you and at least tell you from the beginning what is going on with them so that you can make an informed choice. I mean, that is such a betrayal and so hurtful. And I think that this is something that, like I said, it was catastrophic for you. I think that since this person, and I think that you probably broke up with them, left, maybe not immediately, but it did end, okay? And that wasn't easy for you either. I think that, especially the previous generations, our parents, their parents, and so on, oftentimes, even with the infidelity, the mental abuse, the financial abuse, just having an unhealthy home, family, right? Dysfunctional, that's the word I'm looking for. They would stay together. okay, for better or worse, right? And so a lot of us are conditioned to kind of put up with way more than we ever should, right? So when you actually do leave these kinds of or when these situations arise and then you do leave, that's a big deal. I mean, that takes a lot of work, a lot of, you know, a lot of bravery, a lot of self-love. It's very, very hard to break away from, and people often call it a trauma bond, right? Which is where somebody has mistreated you, abused you, and you end up bonding with them deeply because of the way that they've treated you. And it seems counterintuitive, but this is what happens. I mean, this happens to a lot of people. It's not some rare phenomena. This is something that a lot of people suffer. And especially if you have prior abuse, prior dysfunction, you have witnessed it, you've been within the family unit. It could, you know, it can be generational. It could even just be that you are witnessing it peripherally through other people in your community, right? And nobody is intervening, and these things are normalized. And we internalize those behaviors, even through the media, right? Movies, TV, literature, whatever. And I mean, I think about this often. There are things that I watched when I was younger, and I think back on them now, and I just cannot believe that they were normal. You know, these were normal dynamics. And now, you know, the older I get and the more awake society becomes, at least some of it, you know, some of these things are just not acceptable, right? So anyhow, I do believe that all of this has kind of come together to create, I don't want to call it a complex, but really just a posture of not being able to trust people. And I think that it's been a while, okay? You have some distance between you and this relationship that happened, you and this betrayal. You've done a lot of soul searching, a lot of healing, some time alone, some time to be with yourself, okay? And I think that you're either in a relationship now or you are working on getting yourself back out there because you have the desire to start to build something with somebody new. And I see that there is this large heart, and there's some patches where, you know, things are missing, but I think it's coming together. It really is. And we have the Two of Wands, okay? And this card is all about making a decision, right? You have had the inspiration, that spark of divine stuff, sustenance, the creative force, okay? And now it's about really making a decision, having resolve, and going along the path, okay? And I think that, and I even see right here, this little T, I think this is all about you making the decision to learn how to trust, okay? And that's not just a decision that we make. Listen, I'm saying you're making a decision to do the work, to get to a place of being able to allow yourself to trust, okay? But there's a lot of work that has to happen. Okay, and that's a lot of that self-healing. That's a lot of going back and looking at these root causes of the mistrust, of your fundamental relationship with other people, your relationship with relationships. Okay, this is like therapy stuff. This is like, going and having like a rebirth ceremony. I think that this is also about confronting those people in your life if they're still alive. Okay, even if they're not, you can write them letters. You can still confront them, and I don't mean with anger. Okay, but I think that sharing how you have been affected by their choices is okay. Of course, we have to do it from a place of empathy. We have to try to, at least, because going in and then re-abusing other people, even if they have abused us on some level, created an environment of abuse and so on. Nobody wins in a cycle of, abuse upon abuse upon abuse. So I don't think I'm not, telling you to go and have like a big confrontation or blowout or, anything like this. But I do think that holding people accountable, at least letting them know this really affected me. And then being able to listen to them. They might have excuses. They might shut down, not want to talk about it. Okay. You can't control how other people react. But you might also learn something from them. They might actually have some insight about what was going on that you don't necessarily understand or, just don't remember or whatever. You might gain a little tidbit, and that might be the thing that helps release you of these beliefs, right? These worldviews, perceptions that get deeply ingrained in us, okay? As always, I will continue to advocate for therapy, counseling, like support groups, going online, finding forums for support, reading about some of the things that you're feeling, educating yourself. I think all of that is so important. The spiritual work is very important, but I truly believe that the mental health work runs right through the heart of the spiritual work. They have to go together. And so I think that, realigning yourself to, and I'm not saying just learning to trust everything, trust everybody. That's not good either, right? But I think, getting to a place where you can be receptive to the gifts of the universe, the blessings, the people that will come into your life as you heal. I do believe very much, and maybe superstitiously, okay, you can put that on me, but I do believe that we attract the same energy that we put out, okay? So as we're healing, as we are creating spaces within ourselves to grow, to manifest, but also having strong boundaries, having a deep sense of self-worth, not putting up with the bullshit anymore, okay? And from the beginning, letting it be known that this is not acceptable. Also, part of that is that you become way more discerning, I think. I think that you're probably super observant, and this is my belief strongly, that people who grow up in tumultuous childhood situations, especially if there is some kind of abuse going on, hopefully there wasn't, right? But, or if there was addiction, there's almost a sense of like hypervigilance that has to be created to stay alive, to survive the situation that you're in. And so these kinds of people are very observant going on through life, you know, all throughout their lives. And so I think that you're probably really observant, and now it's just putting that to use, okay? Being able to stand up for yourself, again, like the advocating for yourself. I think that you have somebody in mind, because I feel like there's like these little hearts kind of hanging around here. Even there's this one here. And I think, you know, I think that can be a wonderful thing. I'm not saying put all of your eggs in one basket right from the start, okay? I think that you take your time. You take your time, you get to know them. You make sure that they're willing to put in the time to make you comfortable, to be transparent, to honor you and your wishes, your needs. And you'll find somebody that that will do those things, right? If they care about you, if they want to meet you at the same frequency, you know, they're gonna do that stuff for you and not be upset or resentful or annoyed or any of that about it, okay? And that can happen, definitely. It's not, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility. So I think just stick with it. And if they give you the red flags and they just are not willing to cooperate, then, you know, I think that you know how to walk away. I know that you do. I've already seen that in the bowl. So you know, they tell them to kick rocks, because that's not the person for you. I don't want to see you continuing this, you know, this cycle with people, and kind of, I'm not saying you're wasting your life, but God, just, you know, breaking your heart over and over again. I don't want that for anybody, but, you know, especially for this reading, this feels very close to my heart, because, you know, I've had hard relationships and I grew up in a really difficult situation, so I get it. I've also watched people I love, adore in my life, go through these things over and over and over again, you know, that should never have been treated badly, poorly, you know, with disrespect. And it makes you just, you know, want to go scorched earth when you see that happening. So I empathize deeply with you, but I also know, because from my own situation, I met somebody who was amazing, and that only happened after I did a lot of work, and basically just had no, you know, I just was not willing to compromise on some really, you know, like the really serious points, you know, just being very open, honest, transparent, and going slow, you know, and these kinds of things. And I knew that it was going to be something important and special, and my future, and somebody that I could build a life with, because he grew with me slowly, you know. And so I think that can happen for you, and I really from, you know, my heart, I do believe. And we have, you know, here more of these little hearts, and I think it's just and I think that this is like about romantic love to some degree, but the most important part about all of this, even if it's not about meeting somebody or staying with somebody, this is about you being able to rest a little bit. Being able to just kind of breathe, live with a little ease, let go of some of that stuff, those heavy, you know, things that you've been carrying around on your back for many years. And You know, that is the invaluable part here. And for me, my wish for you is to be able to just enjoy the, you know, the rest of your life as much as you can, as often as you can. And of course, we all have things that come up, and, you know, busyness and tedium and little crises and big crises. Sure. Okay. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. But in between those things, I want you to be able to enjoy your life, be content. And when you're, you know, when you're towards the end and you look back and you think, you know, I really climbed that mountain, and I conquered some things that I thought were maybe going to kill you, you know. Maybe we're going to torment you forever. But you conquered that stuff. And, you know, that's the biggest heart for me, is that self-love, that, you know, self-healing, that save self mentality. And, you know, Libra, you have that energy. So, I really have a lot of confidence. You know, I have a lot of confidence here. But it's all about making this decision. And that's what the big message is today. Okay? All right. I thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm always so honored to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps me get into the algorithm. I'm getting closer to the 5,000 subscribers. And when I do get to 5,000, I'm going to start putting out 2 videos a day. And that will put us on a schedule for each sign being read once a week. Okay? So if you would subscribe to the channel, if you haven't already, I would also appreciate that so much. If you hit the little bell thing, it'll let you know when the videos come out. Between now and the next, I guess the next one will be in 12 days for Libra. If you want to watch your other placements in that time between, so your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, and I know people like to watch their Venus sign as well. Other than that, leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what's been going on with you. I love hearing from each and every one of you. You are all so wonderful. Okay. I'm going to get a drink here. I'm going to lose my voice all the way. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will talk again very soon.